I don't want to dispute the quarterback and his take here from the very beginning, but it really doesn't feel like that. It really doesn't. I mean, we have an office here where there are a handful of Packers fans, and you'll walk by them, and the Vikings fans will be like, Packers Vikings this week, huh? Yeah, hope our team wins. And then the Packers fan will say, no, I hope our team wins. And they'll say, oh, I guess we'll find out when we tailgate together in the parking lot at Lambeau and have a great time. I mean, I don't know how other people think rivalries are in the rest of sports, but this is not one of the most intense ones. Matthew Coller, Alex Boone here on Purple Daily for 2 hours. A mystery guest coming up at 2:20 that is specifically tailored toward you, Alex. How's it going, man?
Ooh, it's a mystery guest.
Yeah, mystery guest. This will be a surprise for you.
This.
This will be good. You're going to like this. That's a
man.
2:20.
Okay.
So tell me, though, you got to be a part of this, Packers and Vikings. And I think it's a great rivalry only because the teams are usually good. So when it's like Bears, Packers, it's like Bears, most of the time until now. For my entire life, it's like, oh, Moses Moreno and Cade McNown are starting for the Bears against Favre. Congratulations on showing up. But now it's good between the Packers and Bears. This one I feel like is a great matchup of Randy Moss mooned your fans once, and Favre was on their team and then came to this team. I don't look at it as separating families in Minnesota. I look at it as there's been a lot of great players on both sides and great games between these two teams, and that's what really makes it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I'm just wondering, are you a football fan? Because I'm considering this to be one of the top rivalries, and I don't know why, but I've always been a fan of this game, and getting to play in it, getting to the real feel for it, it was exciting. I'm not kidding, and I don't know what it was because I mean, coming from San Fran, I had played them a whole bunch in their stadium and our stadium all around. I mean, it felt like just another game, but when I was here and we went up there, it just felt different. And I don't know what it was, but yeah, I could feel the animosity and the hate.
Yeah, I think so. Do you mean between the players on the field, or do you mean in the stands?
I felt like in the stands, I felt like they kind of hated us too. I mean, I felt like we weren't wanted. I mean, I think you can go into some stadiums and you can be like, well, I don't really know if that really had any effect. But when we were up there, it felt like it had a bigger effect than normal.
Okay, maybe, yeah. All right, I could see that, where the fans get extra jacked up for it because they know it's a big rivalry.
Yeah, and it was a big time too, because when we went up there, it was for the North. I mean, it was the second to last game of the year, Week 16. You know, who's going to win, and it was for some reason it was really warm that week, and we had planned on it being really cold because it was like -20 when we went outside, and Zimmer was like, "You're gonna love this come Sunday," and Sunday was wearing like shorts and a t-shirt. Like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever. Like, people were walking around staring at each other like, I don't know, man, just go with it.
Yeah, but every once in a while it happens.
It's weird, but
very odd weather.
I could feel the animosity for sure. It's a rivalry.
Okay, I'll buy that, but I guess where I'm looking at it is from the intensity of the fans. When I was in Philadelphia for the NFC Championship game, I, even coming from Buffalo, have never quite seen something that violent going on in the parking lot, where, I mean, you just had Eagles fans going completely bat bleep. I mean, they have a jail in that stadium to take fans to. And that's very different from the cordial nature of fans, Vikings and Packers fans. And I'm sure once you're in there, it gets really serious, and the atmosphere is truly incredible to be a part of when you go to Lambeau. Even just walking through, in the media, we park in the field and then we walk up to the stadium, and just walking up to it, it has this kind of aura to it. Like, yeah, this is actually Lambeau Field. I guess what I'm thinking of is because of where we live, the region we're in, there isn't this like true hatred of neighbor versus neighbor. If you play for that team or you like that team, then you're out of the family, like it might be with Ohio State and Michigan. But it's more of a cordial relationship. And then I guess when you get into the games, they're usually intense, Alex, I think because the teams are just good. It's got a great history since Favre shows up in Green Bay, of the Vikings consistently with Denny Green being great. And then they get to Brett Favre showing up here after being a Packer, which ramped it up. And even over these last years, Mike Zimmer versus Aaron Rodgers has been a great battle, I think.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been some matchups that have been fun to watch. But, I mean, when you're talking about a rivalry like Ohio State, Michigan, no, I don't think it comes down to that. I mean, you see people wearing Packers stuff in Minnesota and nobody gives them a hard time. You do that, you wear something from Michigan in Ohio, people will stare at you funny like, dude, what are you doing?
Right, right.
You just don't belong here. Like, you're just being that guy, aren't you? Okay, got it. But yeah, I agree with you. It's more of a cordial rivalry. But maybe it was because I was a player that I had to always feel like there was animosity around us. And I mean, as players, for sure, there was a rivalry between the Vikings and the Packers. I mean, that game, there was some heated conflicts that I had that surprisingly I hadn't had with certain players before. And they were like, "Nah, dude, it's different for this." I was like, "That is great. I love to hear that. Let's do this."
Okay, that's interesting because, of course, Adam Thielen at the podium today, you can predict this, was not going to say it was any different. Well, every game's big in the National Football League. So I did want to know if on the field you get that ramped up intensity. And part of that is just from playing in a division that's really good. I mean, you go back even a couple of years and it's an intense type of division where whether you're going to Detroit or whether you're going to Chicago or whether you're going to Lambeau, you're usually playing a team that's at least competitive, that
Right.
it's going to matter to you. It's not like you're New England. You're like, okay, well, there's 6-0 or 5-1 every single year. We start with 5 or 6 wins and then we'll play the rest of the schedule. It's never that way in the NFC North. So I would imagine that those games just have an extra tension because of just how much they mean.
Yeah, well, like you said, that you're playing your own conference games. Obviously, that's a huge thing. But like you said, it's these games come down to so little. Like the guy who makes the least amount of mistakes is going to win the game. So at the end of the day, you're like, listen, we got to be dialed in at all times for this game. Because at sometimes there are games where you go out there and in the first quarter, you're like, listen, we're going to beat these guys over the head the rest of the game. This is just going to be comical. But then you get into your conference games and it's like, this is not going to be comical because these guys know exactly who we are and what we are. Because we play them twice a year. We play them here. We play them there. They know who we are inside and out. So it does add to a little more animosity to it.
So what do you think of this Packers team, Alex? You think that Rodgers is washed? That's a great place to start. What about the rest of them? Well, let's talk about Rodgers, though, because I've been joking with you about him being washed. But in all honesty, over the last 4 years, it's just not the same as when he was a freak of nature and had a case for being the best quarterback ever. And in week 1, the whole question was, well, is Matt LaFleur's offense going to take him back to that level? And, it didn't really. I mean, he went 18 for 30 with a touchdown, and he made a big play when it needed to be made. But even going back to 2016, his record is 21, 18, and 1. 100 quarterback rating, 7.3 yards per attempt. Those are good NFL quarterback numbers, but They are not. You are a god. You are on the complete next level.
Right. It's not like you're the cover of Madden. I'm completely surprised. I agree with you, but I think the problem is he's kind of overshadowed by certain things. Number one is injury. I mean, he was hurt. Obviously, he got hurt here. I think that sometimes when you get hurt and your name is out of the limelight for a while, and then all of a sudden Patrick Mahomes puts up 50 touchdowns, people turn to you and go, "What have you done for us lately?"
Right.
I mean, that's such a tough situation to be in, and I'm not giving him saying that for any reason that he deserves to any sympathy, but right now he hasn't played in the preseason, and that first game that you went out there, you looked abysmal. Like it looked like he was arguing with the coach in the huddle to me. Like I felt like as a player I could feel the tension between the two of them, and it felt like they were kind of handcuffing him and saying, "Hey, listen, we don't want all of your ability. We just want a little bit of it, and we'll do the rest of the work for you." And it's kind of like that's not how Aaron works. I mean, at the end of the day, it's his show. You got to let him run around. You got to let him be crazy. I feel like that's when he sparks the most. That's when he gets excitable and his team comes together and they rally around him, and then it's something fun to watch. But when you're in this offense and it feels like he's kind of slowing him down, then it's not going to be fun to watch for anybody.
So I was thinking about a basketball comparison with how I feel about where Aaron Rodgers is right now. Let's say when you're in your mid-20s, you're a superstar NBA player and you can take people off the dribble because you're super quick. So you can just score whenever you want. But as you get a little bit older, your coaches are like, hey, you're not as quick as you used to be, so we're going to design spot-up threes for you. Right. And if that player buys into that, then they can become a spot-up three-point shooter and play till they're 40 and just hitting threes. But if they don't and they're like, no, I score off the dribble, then your career is going to end a lot quicker because you think you could still do the things that you used to do that you can't do anymore. And I wonder if Aaron Rodgers has that same issue.
I hear you. I do.
Say he's washed. Say it.
No, I'm not going to say he's washed. I'm going to say that he is the minority owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay? So at the end of the day.
So he should know all about this.
When Aaron Rodgers wants to retire, he'll retire. And they'll be like, thank you for everything. Even though it's probably just one Super Bowl. But, I see what you're saying. I don't think he's washed. I think that at the end of the day, comes down to the coach is new, and he's like, I want my offense to shine, and if I can't make it work with you, maybe we can make it work with somebody else. And I really do think that Matt LaFleur is kind of like, hey, listen, this is my show. This is my team. I've worked so long to get here. I've been around a lot of great people, Sean McVay, guys like that, the Kyle Shanahans, the people that understand the offensive systems in this league. So I know what I'm doing. And for whatever reason, you can't put Aaron Rodgers in an offense that actually makes sense on paper. Because to me,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense. He's one of these guys that's like, I'm gonna run around here for a little while, and I'm gonna make it look kind of ugly, but then all of a sudden I'm gonna make something look really pretty, and I'm gonna bring you back around, and we'll rush a little bit here and there, and we'll try and make it look like we care about the ground, the game, but we don't. And at the end of the day, I'm still just gonna run around and throw the ball and make it look kind of cool.
Yeah, and this is there is a comparison for this historically, which I think would be John Elway, where
Ooh.
when Mike Shanahan shows up in Denver, and Elway's had a ton of success, he's been to Super Bowls, he's got all the accolades you could ever hope for, and he's in his 30s. And then they go to this Shanahan style offense where you're trying to run play actions and you're throwing shorter passes, and then every once in a while you bring out the cannon and throw it downfield. And I was watching an NFL Films recap of Mike Shanahan's, I think, second year in Denver, because why not?
Right.
And at one point they catch John Elway on the sideline saying, man, this offense is really helpful. Like, I don't have to do as much now. I can just,
like this.
pull out some West Coast stuff, throw underneath, and let somebody else run with the football. And he needed that to extend his career and ultimately win 2 Super Bowls. So I think if Aaron Rodgers fights against this, this could be really, really tough for that offense. And if he buys into it, then it could be really dangerous for everybody else.
I agree. But at the end of the day, what do you think Aaron wants to do? I don't see him wanting to be in a system that hasn't made him flourish all these years.
I totally agree.
And I think it's tough when you put a player in that position to say, hey, listen, this is what's made you great for X amount of years, and we get it. But now we want to try this. He's gonna be like, guys, come on. We just saw what happened. We tried this a long time ago. It doesn't look good. Like, we have no ground game. And that's the biggest problem for me is, what have you done to solidify the ground game?
Mm-hmm.
You've done nothing. You've gone out to get nobody. There is nobody in the backfield. They're doing nothing. If you want your offense, like, that should be his rebuttal. Hey, Aaron, we want you to be in this offense. Okay, well, I want you to go get me this running back then, like today, right now. And then maybe we'll talk about running this offense. But when you put nobody back there, then how do you expect me to flourish?
Yeah. I think that Aaron Jones has the potential to be a very good running back, but like you said, they're going to have to make that happen. With running backs, they're usually their success is based on their circumstances, unless it's somebody like Dalvin Cook, who's just so spectacular that he can make an offensive line that's struggling look really great. But I don't think Aaron Jones is on that type of level. So they have to make that happen first. And Aaron Rodgers also has to believe in that as a strategy as well. And it's a little bit like the saying about marriage. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Right. I mean,
it's true.
They might have to adopt that in Green Bay, or they're still going to have many of the problems they had before.
For sure. There's definitely going to be a compromise. And I think there is. I mean, I can envision one in my mind how this system would work. But at the end of the day, you need the running back. You can't do it without that. Like, he's like, hey, you're not understanding. Nobody is going to be sucked up here. We're trying to do all these things and make it look really cool, but we're not going anywhere. Our offensive line is not built to run the ball. We're built to pass block, Aaron, and that's about it. After that, there is minimal, like, hey, this is a zone play. What is a zone play, and why are we running it? That does not involve Aaron throwing the ball to somebody. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like, you can't turn around and go, well, this is new to us, and here's a running back that probably doesn't suit this offense and can't go anywhere by himself, but good luck. Like, it's just not going to happen.
The other part of it, too, with them and their approach to bringing in Matt LaFleur is that they counted on Matt LaFleur to solve all of their problems on offense and not other human beings. Like you mentioned, with Aaron Jones in the backfield, they didn't bring in like a number 2 or a scat back who can help him out. And he's not a huge pass catcher. So then you're kind of asking him to do something he hasn't done before. And they had the 12th pick in the draft, and I was certain that they were going to take some weapon. I mean, you saw the first week, Marquise Brown was amazing for the Ravens. Yes. And their Noah Fant was another guy who was on the board there. Certainly some offensive linemen, but a couple of weapons who were ranked very highly. And they take Rashawn Gary, who on tape at Michigan was, you'll appreciate this. I mean, he was very lazy, I thought. And even though
Michigan players,
yeah,
they are.
That happens. But great talent in the combine, but congratulations, right? I mean, that was a very strange pick. I just didn't think that they did enough around him to add like extra weapons that are going to enhance Rodgers. They seem to think that it was entirely scheme, and I don't think that.
I agree with you 100%. What they went out this offseason and did for the defense was huge. I mean, the money that they threw at the defense, because for so long people have been saying, you guys can be really, really good. You just don't have a defense. And so finally they turn around and go, you know what? These people are right. We should probably cave into this. We need to attack this defense thing more. We need to get some pass rushers in there, people that are productive, that can do it. They did a great job. What I think they counted on the offense was they said, hey, listen, between Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers, there's no way they can mess this up.
Well, right.
They did, because you didn't throw in the running back portion where you're like, well, who's going to be the guy that scares the defense? Because potential does nothing for me on the sideline. The potential that a player has, well, that's great. Is he going to use that potential? I don't know. Well, then that doesn't scare me. I don't know if he's going to come or not. I know I'm going to show up. But when you have a potential to have a running game, I don't think you've attacked it enough. I think they should have went out and done more. And if anything, maybe go out and get some more offensive linemen, get some bigger guys. I mean, I'm not saying you have the wrong offensive line, but at the end of the day, if you want to run the ball and you want to have an offense like that, you need some bigger guys up front, and you need some road graders.
I'm shocked that this was your conclusion that you came to, but I agree with it, that their offensive line has not been the same for the last few years, and it has played into why they haven't been as successful. So